Hey guys, it's Steph and we're back again with another long form boxing rundown for this week. You can follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, Boxing with Steph, for like daily uploads, short form content. But here we're going to talk all through what's been going on this week in the lovely world of boxing. And up next, there was still many talks, many talks of what's next for Crawford and for Canelo. Look, both men have said they are not retiring. So I guess we may see them both back in the ring. I mean, Crawford has said that he's looking to go down to 160 and fight again. And Brian Bomack said that he will be back in the ring, which is exciting. I mean, nevertheless, of what's next for them both, I'm excited to see them both back in the ring. And I hope they do get back in the ring. I know there's a lot of talks on retirement and maybe because of their age, that is on the horizon. But I guess they have got like a couple of more fights before that retirement mark. I still stand by my predictions and what I said in my last video. I still would love, if weight class wasn't a thing, I would still love to see Crawford go against Bivol. And I still would love to see Canelo and Shiraz in a fight. I mean, Frank Warren has also said that fight, Canelo and Shiraz, is a fight that he is looking to make. Saw that via Stomping Ground. So look, we might be in for that fight. Do you know what? Amongst all of this, the fight week for Crawford and Canelo, we did see some back and forth with Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. Now, there has been talks when they've got a fight set for early 2026, and we did see Terence Crawford actually tell Teofimo Lopez to sign the contract, and that was at his post-fight press conference. I hope it's not all talk. I hope it is a fight that does actually happen. I think we've seen them go back and forth on Twitter many of times. So let's make it happen. Us boxing fans want to see it, so let's see it. We want to see this in action. Today actually marks 1 whole year since the fight with AJ versus Daniel Dubois. Wow, what a year. That fight night, right? I was there live and I was really excited and I was looking forward to it. And to be fair, I was one of those people who thought that AJ had this in the bag and that he was going to win it. Boy, was I wrong. I'm not even going to lie. I was just so shocked at how it played out. Do you know what? It wasn't even the fact that he lost, it was how he lost. It was quite surprising. I think AJ's phenomenal and he's one of my favorite boxers. So I was just shocked to see him go out like that. But do you know what? In the build up to that fight, I was questioning AJ's headspace because in one of his interviews, he was saying, like, telling the fans, like, please pray for me. And I thought, oh, that's giving a sign of someone who's not so confident and not very sure. Because if you compare that, let's say, if we was going to compare that to Terence Crawford going into a fight, him saying, like, I'm going to win, I'm going to beat him, in the midst of everyone doubting him, you can see the difference in the confidence. So I did think, oh, I don't know if he's so confident that he's going to win this fight. But then to see it all play out how it did and being there live, I'm not going to lie, I ran out of there. I was like, you know what? I've seen enough. I wasn't even there till the end. I was just like, I've seen enough. He's lost the fight. So I just got out of there as soon as possible. And I thought, let me just dodge all the traffic. But since then, AJ's not been in the ring. I mean, he's had like, what, an elbow injury and, you know, talks of him coming back 2026. Fair enough. I'm excited to see him back in the ring regardless. And Dubois was supposed to fight Parker, which didn't go through because he was ill. And then he also had the fight with Usyk, the rematch for undisputed title, which he didn't win. So I guess both men have had different journeys since that fight. Memes, I will not forget all the memes, but I would love to see AJ back in the ring. I'm so actually quite surprised that he didn't take the rematch with Dubois, but I guess now thinking of it, maybe it was risky. Maybe it was too risky. And of course, there's talks on retirement with AJ as well. So I was actually getting really irritated with the talks with Jake Paul. I was like, why is AJ going into this fight with Jake Paul? He's made a lot of money, so clearly, is it a money thing? Does he want to fight Jake Paul for money? Like, is it I don't get it because someone like AJ, he can sell Wembley. So I'm like, why are you going in with Jake Paul? Like, what is it? Like, I don't get it. But anyways, talking about Jake Paul, Tank versus Jake Paul, the exhibition fight that nobody asked for. I mean, I'm just happy to see Tank back in the ring. Tank is one of my favorite boxers. I was banking on that Lamont Roach rematch, but I guess it's not happening. And Lamont Roach is now fighting Isaac Cruz. Fair enough. He probably doesn't want to wait for Tank and he wants to stay busy, especially with that hype that he got from that fight with Tank. He wants to stay busy. Isaac Cruz is coming off like 2 wins. So I think it's a nice fight and it's a good matchup. But Tank and Jake Paul was something that was not on my bingo card. And I definitely do think it might be a thing where like Tank has not shied away from talking about the fact of like making as much money as possible. And fair enough, if that's what he wants to do, then I guess that's what he wants to do. It's his career, his legacy, and it's his time in camp. you know, putting in the hours. So he gets to choose, I guess, to some degree, like the fights that he wants to take. So if that's a fight he wants to take, fair enough. And I can imagine he is probably going to make bank, and they will like do well, like with numbers. People will tune in. As much as we may say, oh, it's not the fight that we want to see, blah, 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 we are going to tune in and we're going to watch it. This week, it was actually like announced that they've moved to Miami, which sounds exciting, but that's not the part that I am focusing on, like, for this fight. It's this very one thing that I have actually been, it's like since I saw the news for this fight, I was thinking, how is that gonna work out? And it's this. I'm reading from US Today Sports, right? And they say the key issue is the weight between the two fighters, with Davis having weighed in at 133 pounds, just over, in his last fight, and Paul having weighed in 199 and a half in his last fight, a 66-pound weight difference. Honestly, when I found out that they were fighting each other, that was the one thing that I was like racking my head about. I was like, how is the weight gonna work out? Like, how are they gonna do it weight wise? You've got a guy, Jake Paul, who fought heavyweight in his last fight, and then Tank, who's like at lightweight, super lightweight. Like, how does that work? That's very unsafe. And I think they haven't even worked out the weight classes. But to me, correct me if I'm wrong, and please educate me maybe in the comments, is the weight not something that you guys decide before? Or, well, I don't know. I don't know. But hey, it's happening. It's really, really happening. This week, we've also seen the press conference to Chris Eubank and Conor Benn, the rematch. Now, many people may say that this rematch may not be as great as the first fight. The first fight had so many components to it that just made it so great. You had the build-up, you had the X-Lap, you had the fathers. Will Chris Eubank Sr. be there? And then you had the amazing 12 rounds that made it as great as it was. Fair enough. But there's so much to take from this press conference. One, with Conor Benn saying that he was looking to just take off Chris Eubank's head in this first fight, and now he's really looking forward to like just box him in this second round, which great, good for him. I'm excited to see it. And then we've seen Brian Bomac back in Chris Eubank's corner. They have worked together before with Chris Eubank's rematch with Liam Smith. So is this history repeating itself, or is Conor Benn going to take the win? I do hope that Chris Eubank does not get so many like fines to the build up to this fight. I do think if Conor Benn wins, we probably will get a trilogy. So, and if Chris Eubank wins, that might be it. But if it ends in a draw, then we're definitely going to get a trilogy again. But nevertheless, we're getting a rematch. I'm not complaining. I will be tuning in. That's all from me this week on this week's Boxing Rundown. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, Boxing with Steph, and you can stay up to date on what's going on throughout the week. And then I'm going to catch you guys next week, Sunday. Have a great week.